Hello everyone and welcome to Grumpy Dragon Gaming. This is my first look at Ghost Recon Wildlands closed beta. Now I have had a good time in playing this beta. There's lots of character customizations available with your character. You get to choose many different options, which I do like. I always like to see in a game where it allows you to pick different things without having to unlock them. That's one thing I did enjoy about this beta. There's many different changes you can make to your character, hairstyle, beard style, and many different things. The skin color of your character, the ability of your character. I mean, there's just there were so many options to choose from and to go between. And like I said, the diverse number of options that were available to you without having to actually unlock them is really what surprised me. Now, as I was going through and changing all the things on my character, because it was a beta, I ran into a glitch where my changed options weren't changing anymore. So at one point I did stop changing my options, but there was changed options for your outfit, for your clothing, for your shirt, your pants, your boots, different colors for it, different options for it. I mean, it was very it just made it to where you can kind of pick out your character the way you want your character to be. And being a 4-player co-op, making sure that your character looks completely different than the other ones is extremely important to give yourself a diverse feeling amongst your friends when it comes to playing this game. The vehicles in this game were extremely interesting. They were very diverse. There was many different games, different ones with, or many different vehicles, different ones with different aggressive abilities, like having this Jeep here with a mounted turret gun. Was definitely a nice touch. We found a few of these in the beta in the game. There was also air vehicles like helicopters. There was multiple different helicopters, passenger helicopters, big and small. We also found a helicopter with guns on it at one point. Now, the flight ability of the helicopters, definitely very different from any game I've ever played. It was a little more difficult for us to be able to control them than I expected them to be. Now, granted, they give you a tutorial on the way they're supposed to work and the way that you do control them, but really that didn't help. They were very difficult to control. Besides having the helicopters, there was also airplanes. We did do an airplane run, returning some, it was a side mission, returning some goods from the airplane. And like the helicopter, was very difficult to be able to control the airplane. Beyond the air vehicles, there was many water vehicles. We found this little dinghy boat that gave us the ability to tool around on the map. I also, at one point, was able to go and find myself a speedboat. Granted, I didn't get to use a speedboat very much. There was a limitation in the beta as to where you were allowed to go. They only gave you one area to circumnavigate, and it only allowed you to get to a certain period of area, and then it would kill you. So I didn't get to use the speedboat very much because we were kind of closed off to one area, but it was pretty cool. Besides the air and the water vehicles, there was plenty of ground vehicles, anywhere from Suburbans to large trucks that would allow you to have, a diverse ability of getting your characters and getting your buddies around the map. Most of the vehicles allowed your buddies to hang out the side of the vehicle and shoot at will, which was extremely important. Most of the vehicles were 4-player vehicles that allow you to have all 4 buddies with you. Now, granted, in a few of the vehicles, they were like supercars, as this one here, which only allow you and one other buddy to be in the vehicle with you. Now, granted, in a 4-player co-op, this can cause a little bit of conflict, and it can cause your other buddies to get upset when you say, I'm taking the supercar and driving away. As you're about to see here, one of my teammates decided to shoot the tires out of my car, so I ran his ass over. And then, of course, I had to drive my car all super slow because he shot the damn tires out in the fucking car. But we did have a really good time with the vehicles in this game. They were very diverse and very plentiful. There was lots of them out there. Even single-player vehicles such as this dirt bike that we found after dropping off that supercar. Me and my buddy found a couple dirt bikes to run around and play with. Now, besides the fact that there was a diverse amount of vehicles with these in the game, the vehicles themselves were also extremely durable, I found. Many times I would take the vehicle and just completely off-road. Instead of following the road, I'd say screw it and just kept saying shortcut. And would just drive completely off the side of the cliff. just to see whether, I wanted to test to see whether or not the vehicles would explode, because a lot of games like this, your vehicles, you drive them off a little bit and you just end up exploding. These vehicles, on the other hand, were extremely powerful, extremely rugged, and we had no issues whatsoever making it through to where we could go anywhere we wanted to go over any obstacle. And the vehicles would explode from gunfire and from explosives, but for some odd reason, running into stuff didn't seem to stop these vehicles at all. They were pretty, non-destructible to an extent. It made it very fun. Many occasions when we were driving around and doing stuff, even when we thought that we were stuck or that again there was no reason the vehicle should have survived, sadly the vehicle always seemed to survive. We tried and tried to get these vehicles to explode. We tried the most crazy, most extreme stuff that we could think of. And a lot of times, we get to a point where a lot of our teammates would just give up and try to run on because they didn't think there was no way we could get out of things. But the versatility of these vehicles and the ability to get themselves out of a tight fix was extremely impressive. And they could make it over pretty much anything and everything that you could think of, and even with flips and tricks, would still survive. Now, in this game, there was a lot of drone gameplay that was extremely impressive. You got to be able to deploy a drone. Now, granted, the drone had a limited range, limited battery life, different abilities, which you could then later increase via the skill tree to make your drone better. And I think eventually you get different things on your drone to where it becomes more of a more diversible of an equipment than it actually is. Granted, we mainly used it in the beta to spot things. To pick out the different guys as we were going before we'd go into a combat zone to figure out where they were. It would leave them then targeted on our map, which made it a lot easier for us to be able to go through and wipe out the enemy after we just, were able to determine where the things were. Now, granted, they could be spotted and would then draw aggro from the guys and make them aggressive to, make them retaliate and call in backup. Now, throughout the game, there was a lot of collectibles that you could find, different kind of equipment and different kind of things that you would locate on the map that would then assist with your skill upgrades. Throughout the map, we found plenty of lockup areas like this one here that would have the rebels in them. And now, once you open the rebels, as long as you didn't shoot them, because at first we didn't realize what it was, we shot a bunch of them. But if you got them open and unlocked, they would then help you. Now, these are these different highlighted things. You'd tag them, and it would add, as you see there, it shows I got 50 of gasoline. It would add a different resource to your resource ability. Now, whenever you leveled up, you had to have not only a skill tree, but the resources available. So you find these resources scattered throughout the map. Now, granted, all these that I've been tagging right here are gasoline. There was multiple different types of resources. Each one had a different looking thing to tag on. And would allow you to then, you would just run through every area that you cleared. You would tag the different resources to add them to your pool of resources, which you would then later use to level up. Now, besides the different items that you were able to tag, there was also metals and different things that you would be able to locate around the ground or along the grounds that were extra things, like this blue thing here, was just a metal. Different things, different little bonus equipment acquired. It would give you bonus metal acquired. It would give you different things. You could then use them later. Now, you'd also find these gold cases here, which would include a weapon. Each one of the weapons would then go into your inventory, and you'd then be able to access and use that weapon from that point forward. There was many of them around the map that we found, even in the beta. We found sniper rifles to shotguns to machine guns. It was definitely a very cool add to the game. Now, the skill tree was extremely diverse. There was actually quite a bit to it. I was really surprised at the amount of diversity that you had and how being able to change where you would want to direct yourself using the skill tree from weapons to drones to items to physical to squad to even rebel support to level up the. You basically create your character the way you want. Now with a 4-player co-op, if you're gonna be playing with the same guys, you can kind of balance out your skills to where your team can compensate each other, and you don't have to go towards one direction. Now I'm not sure if you'll be able to get everything unlocked in the actual game. Now, the different characters were colored differently. Green for the rebels, red for the enemies, and purple for essentially the cops of the area. Now, each weapon itself individually could have each single piece of the weapon customized, and then each weapon would then be able to be painted to your own, to your own liking, which I thought was pretty cool. The different customizations of the guns, each piece could be individually customized as you find them, because a lot of the weapons, you don't only find the weapons, but you would find the different pieces of the weapons, which would then allow you to change and to make your weapons more individualized. Now, we did find that in the game, we got down quite a bit by vehicles. Primarily, getting run over tended to be the number one reason for downing. Now, you can't stop your buddies from teabagging you when you get down, but you have to just stab them in the chest with a freaking needle, and you were able to freaking revive them. Essentially, that was pretty much the way it was with every single down. Now, there was a few times where we would get down, and it would just be an instant kill, which I'm not exactly sure how the game determined which was which. But primarily, as you see there, it wasn't even ourselves that downed each other. It was the local traffic that would end up downing us. And it would make it to where it just seemed that, you definitely wanted to get out of the way of the locals as you were running around and doing stuff, because if not, you would just get ran over and just destroyed. Now, granted, of course, as we were playing, we couldn't help but run each other over most of the time. Now, like I said, as we were playing, we also ran into a few encounters where you figured it would just get downed, but for some odd reason, it would just instantly kill you, telling you you're killed in action, which we just never really figured out what was what, and what would actually kill you and what would actually just down you. Now, usually you could walk in front of a truck and they would stop, but most of the locals would rather just run you over. They'll stop shortly after they kill you, but then they would just drive off as if nothing ever happened. Now, with a reduced amount of map, a lot of the times as we were playing this closed beta, we ran into areas where we just couldn't, we couldn't be in that area. A lot of our objectives were outside the area, and after you left the area of operation for so long, you would essentially just die. Now, overall, the gameplay of this game was extremely fun. I found it to be definitely kind of a mixture between the original Ghost Recon games and the essentially like a Far Cry kind of feel is what I felt to it, especially the newer Far Cries, where it's just a large open map multiplayer game that would allow you and your buddies to kind of, take it as you will, capturing different areas, conquering different territories, and basically just kind of taking it, adapting the gameplay to your game style. I found that to be something that seemed. I mean, I've really enjoyed playing this closed beta. I'm definitely looking forward to the final product. It will be definitely something that I'm going to be picking up and playing on. It was definitely an extremely fun game. Now here's a little bit of gameplay where we were taking out this little area. We had to interrogate a guy to figure out what he was doing, and we decided to split up on this one. Me and one of my buddies decided to take the hill. My other two buddies decided to go down the side and on foot to go into the actual camp. We were kind of your sniper support, and they were your on the boots, boots to the ground kind of players. I'm going to go ahead and be quiet for a little while we're doing this. But we essentially kind of took out this area. At one point, we ended up encountering, they called for backup because we got caught. They called for a chopper, which I tried to avoid, but ended up getting shot at quite a bit from. But it was a lot of fun. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to be quiet now and let you guys enjoy this.
I'm looking at a small group of tangos. Eyes on a small group of tangos. I'm looking at a small group of tangos.
Got one. face down.
Aquí están estos cabrones. ¡Mátenlos a todos!
Hit the dirt, helicopter.
Hostile down. He's history.
Oigan, gringos, help me get out of here.
Helicopter, get down.
You okay, hermano?
What do you want from me?
Yuri and Polito, the fuckers who tortured you. We're here to make them pay for what they did. But we need to know where they took you.
We didn't travel far. I remember that much, and it was quiet. Out in the country somewhere. There was a smell, like old animal skins. That's all I know. I'm sorry.
It's all right. At least now we know they're close by. Gracias.
Hostile killed.
Eyes on a small group of tangos.
Now, all in all, the encounters on this game were extremely fun. I did find a few quirks and things, like at this point here, after I got done clearing this area, we were going to drop in for a lower encounter. I tried to jump off, and then would drop 2.5 feet and immediately die. There's also some random other things I found that were pretty cool, like these burnt corpses that were hanging, kind of stretched out, crucified in front of this church area here. There was also these corpses after we had blown up these cars for reinforcement. These charred corpses, they did the textures on them. This was really cool. It looked really neat. The characters themselves had gotten burned up after we had burned up their cars when the reinforcements called in and killed the chopper that we showed up here in. Definitely a lot of different cool things visually that we found throughout the different maps. As in these statues here in front of this church, where there's appeared to be a Jesus laying on the lap of a robed skeleton, which I wasn't exactly sure what the fuck that stood for, at different shrines and things throughout the map. Now, granted, of course, they did decide to introduce, like always, the ability to do the sexy man pose, which my buddy could not help himself but do on occasions. Every time he'd kill somebody, he would just sit there in sexy man pose. I'm glad to see that they brought that back in a game like this. Now, all in all, Ghost Recon Wildlands was an extremely cool, extremely fun game. I'm definitely looking forward to the release of the game and to being able to play it in the full version. It's definitely something I will be getting and I will be shooting videos on in the future. Now, the open beta is set for December 23rd, so I definitely suggest if you guys haven't had a chance, or if you didn't get a chance to be a part of the closed beta, to go ahead and to download and to play the beta come February 23rd. I definitely will probably end up playing it again. I had a lot of fun playing in this game. It was definitely a very, very enjoyable thing. Visually aesthetic, definitely a well-built game. Even in the beta version, it seems really cool, and I can't wait for the alpha. As always, I'd like to thank you guys for joining me. Please like and share my videos however you see fit. Subscribe for future videos of Wildlands if you want to see me have fun in this world. As always, if you're going to game grumpy. And I'll see you guys in the Wildlands.